Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's March 18th, a Monday morning. We survived the weekend. So I thought today we talk about the economy in general and the effects that it has and what we should be doing about it. So stay tuned. All right, so welcome back. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know, and I do the weekday show Monday through Friday. And this is Monday. And then I usually do a couple videos over the weekend, and I throw in a couple how-to when it comes to fixing stuff, mechanical for small engine repair. And I also teach you how to fix your relationships and how to become a better person. A little bit of everything here. So today I thought we'd talk about, is the economy stupid? Where to start, right? What happens when if inflation hits? Or what normally happens? Prices go up, right? And the value of your dollar is worth less. Now, if how much you're making stays at the same rate as inflation, you're not technically losing anything. You're just making more and paying more. You haven't gained anything, but you haven't lost anything. But now, if you don't get a pay raise of 8 to 11% this year, you're going to go backwards. Big time. So where are we seeing the increases? And it used to be for me, I saw it, like at the gas station, you see prices go up. But the gas station, the prices would go up and they come back down, depending on what the inflation was and what the costs were. You had your grocery supermarkets and stuff. On the majority of their stuff, they would raise up, but then they bring it back down. It's called supply and demand. See, the thing that businesses run into as far as a risk when it comes to inflation is that people will tighten their belts. Even the wealthy. But for the most part, it's your average guy that I'm talking about will tighten their belts. And things that aren't considered a necessity are now being taken a look at to see, do I really need it? Do I really need to continue it? Or is it something that I can do without? And that could be us, in the repair business. The guy could be looking at, do I send my lawnmower to Eric to have him service it this year, or do I do it myself? Especially if Eric raised his prices to stay in tune with inflation, which I didn't. I don't believe in that. But we'll go into that further as we go. So either Stan or I have a lot of female customers, Jamie, are looking at, do I spend the money to have it done and serviced by Eric, or can I do it myself? Or can I have my nephew do it or something like that? Or I just have to buy the oil, the filter, and I understand that. Because if your dollar's worth less and your groceries cost more, your gas costs more, everything you're doing is costing you more money, And unless you have a job with the federal government that gives you a cost of living, adjustment, you're screwed. Plain and simple. Hopefully you can afford the inflation. I mean, you guys haven't seen anything if you're younger. I mean, I've seen a heck of a lot worse. But the idea is when you have inflation, prices go up. But then when inflation goes down, you would think the prices would shrink, would come back down, right? Not on a lot of things. People get it in their head that they can raise the prices, and in theory, it's to help cover their costs with inflation. But when inflation goes away, they're like, no, I'm keeping my prices right where they're at. But then comes a dilemma, because a lot of places do drop their prices based on, their costs. And if they bumped it up, let's say $10, and they don't take that $10 back off, they may have put themselves out of business because of their cost per hour. And it's odd because with a repair business, if you're a certified shop, wages vary depending upon location. If you're in a highly populated location where you have more work and people and jobs than what you could take on, you can afford to have your labor rate higher because there's competition. And there's people willing to pay you more to get their stuff done. And as you get further out, unless you're in the ghetto, and then your prices may come down because people can't afford it. But if you're in an affluent neighborhood, then with a lot of customers, then you can adjust. But as I was saying, the farther you get out from the cities into the towns and stuff like that, your prices have to reflect what the going rate is in that area. And you can't go by what your manufacturers, if you're hired on to do their warranty. See, here's the catch-22, and this is what happens, is that if you're doing warranty work, you want to have your hourly rate as high as possible, right? Because the manufacturers do look at that, and a lot of them preset where you're going to be at, whether it be 80, 90, 120. And then they give you Jason has talked about it with a flat rate. They usually tell you, this is how long it should take your mechanic. And this is what we're going to pay you. Plus, if you have the parts, this and that. A lot of times you're buying the parts from the distributor that's offering you the chance to do the warranty on units. So they just exchange if you need a belt. And you have it hanging there. You tell the distributor, I gotta have this belt and this, and they'll ship it for free. And all they're doing is replacing what you had on the wall at no cost. So you're not making any money on the parts because they just replace it. But what I've noticed is a lot of the businesses that I deal with that I thought odd this year and last year have raised their rates. Both of my public accountants that I do deal with, one does payroll, and then the other one does just year-end taxes. I do the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to. I do all the grunt work because I want to see numbers. And then at the end of the year, I sit down with all my numbers and transpose them onto an Excel sheet for my corporate CPA. And they just take my numbers, plug it in, and then do any new forms that come out. When I first started with them in 2006, it was $570 to do the taxes, which is a good chunk of money. And this year was just shy of $900. And I asked the gal in the office, I said, why do you guys keep raising it? She said, well, it's cost of living and inflation. I said, so if inflation goes down, my cost to have my taxes are going to get cheaper? Because every year they keep going up. She said, well, it depends on the forms and this and that. So I asked my payroll CPA, because her cost for the year, when I first started with her in 2006, 2007, and she does more work, honestly, than my corporate CPA, because she takes care of making sure that the payroll taxes are paid, pay stubs, sheets. She does it all. And I'm not qualming about her bill because she works hard. And I think she's fair. But she's gone up around $200-$300 from when I first started with her. And I've actually got less employees now than I had before, but you still have the same amount of paperwork per business to the state and federal government. And I also have a massage therapist that I go to once a month. And last year she raised her rates by $10. And then 2 weeks ago, she raised them another 10. And I said, what's going on that you raised your prices $20 an hour in the last 12 months? And she said inflation. She said the cost of food, because she's got kids to home, that everything has gone up. So if she doesn't raise her rate that she's making, she's losing money. But this all comes back to when the customer starts looking at the numbers and trying to justify, do I really need it, or can I do without it? See, with her, I went to a chiropractor for years, being involved in a mining accident. And 2 times a week. I did that for 3 years. And it gave some relief, but it was right back. And I never got, decent relief. And someone had mentioned doing it with a massage therapist. So I found her and I set up a half-hour appointment. And I had her concentrate on my lower back and neck area where I had spinal fusion. I got blown disc in my back. She spent the whole half hour around my hips, stretching my legs and my neck. And I got more relief from that than I had the prior 3 years combined with chiropractic. So we did the half hour once every 2 weeks. And what I do now is I do an hour session once a month. Just kind of, it lasts probably 2.5, 3 weeks where it's pretty good. And then I'll feel it going the other way. But I'm even looking at her bill and saying, can I justify it? Because I am going through line by line, just like you as a business. Like the president does, line by line, yay or nay. And if you're not giving me value, you're gone. If you're creating value, I'll keep you. And what I'm getting at, sometimes value isn't dollar and cents. It's health. With her, massage therapist, it's health. But even I'm looking at the numbers saying, maybe I can go back to just a half hour a month. Or once every other month. So what is that going to do to these places that have raised the rate? I think even that person that really doesn't look at your bill is looking at your bill this year and going through the same process that I went through and that I'm still going through, is looking at line by line. What are you actually costing me in the end? And what value am I getting from it? Either economical value or health value. What am I getting back from me paying more for the same service? I guess is what I'm getting at. I think what you're going to find is a lot of people are going to stop doing the extras. And I would like to say most businesses, when inflation comes down, will lower their prices, but that's hardly ever the case. It's more of competition that causes the prices to be lower. And nobody's immune unless you're a foreign government. And now I got your head spinning, right? When it comes to parts, the bulk of the parts that are coming in that are imported, that are showing up on eBay, Amazon, those places, they don't base their how they do things on our economy. They have their own economy. China does. And actually, with the economy, inflation going higher, it's helping them, not us, helping them. And you're going to say, how is that? Well, how is that? Because everybody like us, if we're in the parts business, have to raise the prices on parts because our distributors are raising their prices on parts. And if we weren't already, priced out of the game, we will be. China is going to continue doing as they always do because they're not basing their economy on ours. And actually, if our economy inflation is higher, they're making more money because more people are going to ordering them online from the Chinese than they are at your local shop. Easy peasy. I mean, China is smart. They've opened up warehouses just inside the U.S. at the ports where they're shipping right from the ports. And you'll see it with California, New Jersey, different ports. They have warehousing, and they also have a fleet of persons printing, packaging, and shipping stuff. And then the other ones are shipping directly from China. And it usually takes about a week and a half, 2 weeks, right from China. You know, with China Post or with... So how do we combat that as business? If we're selling products to make a living and we're paying U.S. distributors for our products, you know they've raised the prices. So in turn, whether we like it or not, our prices go up, and because they've raised the suggested list price, you know, and they've raised what the actual cost is. But I don't ever see them, when inflation is under control, they lower those prices back down, like you see with gas. And they should have seen the writing on the wall. Oh, they've lost millions of dollars in the parts department of manufacturing in China and giving them the blueprints to how to manufacture that same carburetor with a sister plant right next door going out with a no name on it. It's the only difference. Same machinery, same process, maybe not as much quality control, but and China has always been that type of beast that says we'll drop our prices so we lose money until we gain market share, and then we'll raise our prices up once we beat out all my competition. So just think of that. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. How is the inflation affecting you? Are you going to be doing anything different as a business this year? Are you looking at the numbers? Even you guys that don't have businesses, are you doing a line by line this year because of the costs have risen? And are you going to look at things that you can do without to try to help your budget go farther? You almost have to, don't you? Because I'm doing that as an individual, you know, with my personal finances as well as with the business. And you have to do that. Sometimes you need to keep yourself lean and fit most of the time, even during good times. But I'm doing line by line, and I can give you a couple of examples. Like stamps.com. They charge me $21.95 a month. That's just to have their services. Now, before we used to do a lot with them because we take orders over the phone and we'd ship through stamps. Not so much lately. So I can save over $200 a year just by getting rid of them and going directly to USPS, and I have an account with them, and I can ship and package through their online, direct through them, versus having the program sitting down on my personal PC in the business. You know, people are going to look at like Netflix. Netflix has risen their rates. DirecTV, they've risen their rates. You know, you start looking at things and saying, can I do without them? Or am I getting a value? And don't always just justify your value based on dollars and cents, because that never works. You have to justify it on, does it bring you value? Netflix, do you find it entertaining? And when it comes to TV, you know, you have DirecTV, and then online services like Netflix, Hulu, There's so many of them now. How are you doing it out there when it comes to inflation and the cost of goods? Are you doing it business as usual, or are you looking at ways to control your cost so that you don't have to raise your hourly rates to your customers? On that note, you guys have a great Monday. I want to hear back from you guys. What are you doing this year when it comes to the economy? All right, guys.